Hello, it's Friday. It is Friday. Thank goodness. Thank God it's Friday, right? Anyone else? TGIF, or is it just me? Welcome, everyone. I'm Carolyn with Swan City Yarns. For anybody who happens to be new or who comes along, hello, Anne and Cindy. I see Cindy over here cussing at everyone. Just kidding. All right. And Cindy B is here as well. I love it. Welcome. I know not everyone is as on time as I am. I may have been rushing in at the last minute. I'm just saying. Actually, I went to grab my book because I wanted to show y'all that I have finally gotten back to my Inspector Gamache series. So I had already started this one. I want to say, is this book 15 maybe? 16? I think it's like 15. Anyway, I had started this one a while ago and then gotten sidetracked. And so I've decided, I went back the other night and just started rereading again from the beginning. So, I mean, come on, it's Louise Penny. You can't go wrong. I could read it over and over again. So anyway, and I don't know about y'all, but for me, normally, like my TV watching, it's common for me to be like, oh, what do I want to watch now? You know, Bo and I have our shows that we watch in the evening together. So things like Big Bang, The Office, or right now we're actually watching Dexter. Do y'all have any Dexter fans in here? We've liked all the Dexter shows, and this one is definitely top notch. The newest one, Resurrection, I think it is. Anyway, so we've been watching that. But then if I get time sometimes just before dinner, or if he's off playing his video games or something, or on a weekend, if I'm sitting and knitting, I don't typically listen to audiobooks. I don't know why. I don't do that. I tend to like to watch shows. I will read like on my Kindle if it's an easy knitting project, but for some reason, I don't do a ton of audiobooks. I do sometimes when I'm out in the dye studio. But anyway, so I've been, a lot of times it's kind of like a dry spell for me. Like, what am I going to watch? But right now, there are so many shows that I haven't even started Fisk, but I'm still watching The Lost Kitchen, which I love. And I interrupted my series of A Chef's Life with Vivian Howard. So I just have all these shows I need to watch. So I have a feeling this weekend is going to be sitting on the couch, watching TV and knitting for sure. So let's see. Oh, Cindy, you're still waking up. That's right. You tend to have a later schedule, don't you? Does that come from working nights, I think? Yeah. And then, of course, Anne, it's morning for her as well. Hey, Mary, I haven't seen you in a while. Happy to have you here. And Sue is here. I love it. And let's see, Tish, it's partly sunny and 75 degrees. That sounds like perfection. Lois says, just watch table 10 and they mentioned you. Then I catch live. I love table 10. I'm going to have to, I just recently got introduced to them myself. Wonderful ladies, obviously. And some of you all have mentioned them to me as well before the Pittsburgh show. So welcome, Lois. Glad to have you here. And then Yvette, hello, Evie. Glad to have you on here as well. Audiobooks make me feel like I'm in a class lecture. Yeah, I don't know I will sometimes, especially the Inspector Gamache series, because they're such long books. I'm used to those short and sweet. I think I've told you all this. I love a good short and sweet, happily ever after romance novel that I can literally consume one in just a couple of days. Like while I'm eating lunch, I'll read. While I'm eating breakfast, I read. Not while I'm eating dinner, because that's family affair. But sometimes if we're watching reruns on TV and stuff, I'll read while I'm knitting and watching TV and stuff. But the Inspector Gamache series, like that's one that I don't just, gloss over. Those, like, you got to pay attention. So sometimes the audiobooks are good on those. And there's a good narrator. That makes a difference too, whether you have a good narrator or not, for sure. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from, Tish. Okay, I'm looking, for some reason, we're not showing up on Instagram today. I don't know what's going on. I think Instagram, I've gotten some notifications that sometimes it not play well with my streaming software. But, oh, Cindy, 57 degrees and misty rain. Ooh, that actually doesn't sound too bad. I have to tell you, I'm very much looking forward to going to Virginia at the end of the month for the Shenandoah Valley Fiber Festival. I'm hoping that the weather is beautiful. Yeah, that'll be good stuff. So if you're coming, I did do a post. We are in booth 9, by the way. And yeah, a handful of you have said that you plan on coming. So I'm looking forward to meeting some faces and that I haven't actually met before. So that will be fun. All right, where are we at? So let's see. I'm normally a little more. I mean, I have my agenda here. I have my sheet. So, oh, I didn't tell y'all the roses. Did anybody go see the roses? Bo took me last weekend as promised, and I liked it. I mean, Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch are awesome, of course. So I thought it was great. I thought it was funny. Bo wasn't as big a fan, but he doesn't care for that whole War of the Roses storyline. So, and it is a remake of that. So I won't spill any secrets or anything, but if you're thinking of going, yeah, it's definitely a remake of War of the Roses. So, you get what you get. Hey, Donna, I am swamped with Swan City yarns. What a lovely feeling. It is a lovely feeling, even on my end. Thank you. I love it. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna. Speaking of, I'm gonna talk about some of that yarn that you have in a little bit. But first of all, why don't we talk about what y'all have been working on? Because there have been some amazing projects, and then I've got some fun yarn to show you with some pattern suggestions and yeah, let's see what all we get up to here, shall we? All right, let's see. First of all, let's go through these projects. So the very first one, I love this one. Oh, let me find my sheet of notes because I don't want to tell you anything wrong. This is Mary Ellen. She lives over in St. Pete. And she knit, this is her first ranunculus. And this is what I love about this pattern. And everybody that people when I see them at festivals and they'll comment on the ones that I've made and about how each one looks so different. And it really does because, the pattern has a lot of ease built in. So, but Mary Ellen here, she did what I love. She took it down a little bit of a different path, took out some of the ease, and actually used a fingering weight yarn, which the pattern says you can use a fingering weight yarn, but with a fingering weight yarn and the size 10 needle that the pattern recommends, like you would have a very open, lacy end project. But Mary Ellen didn't do that. She went down, I think she said, to a size 7. And then she just, because obviously that's going to give her a tighter gauge and then a smaller gauge, and then the project is going to end up smaller. So she just did some extra increases right before the underarms. Between kind of the yoke and the underarms, you have some increases. Actually, there's increases before that. So she might have added some there, but it looks to me like she did it past the yoke. So anyway, it looks great. The fit is great. I love it so much. And of course, that is Swan White that she used there on Trusty Sock. So gorgeous work. I love it so much. And then Anne, this is for Scrappy September. Oh, I didn't even talk about Scrappy September. So if you're intrigued, you got plenty of time to join in. That's our September Fiber Challenge. Is Scrappy September. I did a post in the Swan City Stitchers Facebook group. So if you want to join that, you can. And I made it nice and easy. You don't actually have to use leftovers, which it looks like that's what Anne is doing here, is using leftovers for her projects. But as long as your project has at least 3 different colorways, it qualifies. So, and so here she's using everything from Red Letter Day, Leprechaun, Everyday Pink, and Corduroy. And then she's using that and the red and she's making themed socks for Christmas, Valentine's Day, and 4th of July. You know, I do love a themed sock. So I'm just saying, I think that's very cool, Anne. All right. And then we have another project for Anne, but I think it's a little further down the list. So this, Sue, also for the Scrappy September project, she's making pumpkins. I love that. I have pumpkins on my to-do list, by the way. One of these days, I will get at least one pumpkin knit. And there's a bunch of patterns out there. I don't think Sue mentioned the pattern that she's using, but she's using candy corn for the pumpkin itself. Pumpkin puree is for the stem, and then hunter for the leaf. Pumpkin patch is another good colorway if you're looking for an orange that's currently in stock. That would make a good pumpkin colorway also. So nicely done, Sue. And then, oh, here's Anne's other project, her Extra Light Bright. That thing is just about done. I love it so much. And I don't know if y'all can tell, but that is Pomp and Circumstance on Sparkly Sock, which means it's probably glittery and shiny. I love it so much. And Anne, you might be interested to know that the new Stellina yarn has come in. So I will be experimenting with that as well. And then let's see, Cindy B is making progress on her Martha shawl. Just so y'all know, Cindy is like, she makes these showstopper shawls. There are no boring shawls in Cindy's knitting history that I have ever seen. Hers are always beautiful showstoppers, and this one is no different. She's using Silky Sock in Teal the Cows Come Home, and then that other color is actually Shut-Eye Town, which is a very pale yellow-green. It looks gorgeous. I think she might have got that yarn in North Carolina, if I remember correctly. This I found over on Instagram. This is Kira, and she came to Pittsburgh, I think that's where I met her. So she worked this up fast. This is called the Steamline Tank. It's by, I want to say it's Alexandra Tavel, if that's Tavel. I'll put the link in the show notes if you're interested in it. And I put up 2 pictures. She actually had a couple of pictures posted to show it off. And she's using Trusty DK cookie crumbs. And I think she like whipped that up over the weekend, if I read her post correctly. So, and then steam blocked it, and it looks great. She's such a cutie. I love it. All right. And then work with me here. All right. Let's see. This is Katrin. She finished up her Boomerangle shawl, which I love it so much. Somebody made the comment that it looks like it's woven, and it does, but apparently it's just a simple stitch pattern. So it looks amazing. I love it so much. All right. I think I got everybody. If I missed you, then I apologize. I try to grab the pictures that I see as I see them. Oops, y'all, I don't know what I'm doing. I was trying to get rid of the whip pics, but sometimes I cannot help myself. All right, let's see here. Hey, Karen, glad to see you. Karen's from Scotland. And I don't know why I felt the need to put that little accent on there, but let's see. So I think you're talking about the ranunculus. You need to look at the neck as you can't. Yeah, I can't. They do have, the ranunculus actually has 2 different cast-ons, one being a wide neck cast-on. So, but I think I did the wide neck and it didn't come out quite as wide as I would have thought that it would. I was expecting it to really be loose. But I also really bulked up my yarns, as I've mentioned. Yeah. Hey, Mary Ellen, you made the smaller neck. Okay. Yeah, there is the option for the larger neck for sure. And then, oh, Karen, your grandchildren want pumpkins in multiple colors. That's awesome. Yeah, that's definitely what I want to do, is have a collection of knitted pumpkins. I have a thing for pumpkins and little jack-o'-lanterns that I love to put out around Halloween. And so obviously, it just seems like it would be a good fit to have some knitted varieties, right? Or even some crochet if I get around to learning crochet, which I need to do. By the way, you'll see here, I promised Morgan, it's been a couple weeks since I made us a brown sugar shaken espresso because it takes a little bit more time. And it just seems like I'm always running late. So I promised her this week that I would make us each a brown sugar shaken espresso. So I did. I managed it. What can I say? All right. Let me show you what I've been working on. First of all, speaking of the September scrappy, I feel like I have been, I never even started my August fiber challenge project, which was going to be a brioche little mug rug. Never got to it. I was very disappointed about that. I still have the pattern sitting over here because I still want to do it. But so technically, I do have a scrappy September project, and I don't remember where I was at the last time I showed this. This is still the striped step socks that I told you all about, Stephen West. I had started this with some other yarn and then ended up tearing it out and decided that I wanted to do it. Plus, there's a lady, I think she's from Germany, that has asked me to do it because I had kind of done a little video showing, because I don't know if you can tell. So you knit the cuff, and then we've talked about this. You knit the front flap going down, and then you come back and you take these back stitches and you knit a row and you attach it. And it's actually fairly straightforward, but she's wanting a video, and I guess no one has done a video of actually showing you joining up your rows. So I need to get to that. But anyway, so I'm using Spindle Prick Red is the first color, and then Under the Mistletoe is in there, and then Executive Producer is the green that I'm using. So, and I don't think it's too tricky. In fact, I think he has a slip stitch heel, but I think I'm going to insert a shadow wrap heel, just because that's now my favorite heel. I love it. I've always loved a short row heel anyway. And now that I have found the shadow wrap heel, it's like, angels are singing. I may never do a different heel ever again. And Bo even said, I'm trying to remember which pair of socks he said were his best fitting. And I was like, well, I think that's a shadow wrap heel. So it'll work for him as well. Thank you, Yvette. I know, aren't they fabulous for Christmas? They are, even if I am a little bit behind. And speaking of shadow wrap heel, I did pull out this project, which I pulled it out because I had some frustrations with my Stockholm slipover, which I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I pulled out, I don't know if y'all remember this self-striping yarn that I bought from Caitlin at String Theory. This was, way back in, was it January? Anyway, I started a pair of socks for Bo. He picked out the yarn. The colorway is, Inertia. And it's a self-striping. She does beautiful self-striping colorways. And then, so I put Dole Whip is the mini that I'm using for the cuff. I think it goes nicely with that. And then the other night when I was ready to do the heel for him, we went through my purples and he picked out Happy Hour, which I think plays very nicely into the color scheme. So I did the heel, shadow wrap, of course. That's right. You guessed it. And now I'm on to the foot. These socks really, because it's all vanilla, I literally just keep them. They're a great project to have anytime, like if I get frustrated with something else, or I just don't know what to knit on, or I'm at a stopping point because I need to go watch a video for something, or I need to concentrate on something, then these are great socks to pull out. And that was what happened this week. I was like, I want to knit on something in the evening, but I had reached a frustrating point, maybe, I don't know, with my Stockholm slipover, which here it is. So y'all know I'm doing this Under the Mistletoe again in Fluffy DK. And I've got one cake that's a little bit smaller now than the other just because I've been helical knitting, but I guess the video that I watched on helical knitting said you don't do it on ribbing, if you're at a section of ribbing. So when I got to the bottom and did the ribbing, I just went to one skein, which looks just fine. And I bound off. So, but I kept thinking I should be done with this bee pattern already. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I get to a certain point in a project and I'm like, I'm ready to be done. It's time for another cast on, you know what I mean? But I don't like too many whips and because I get anxious. And so, so I was just frustrated with this, but I realized something about this yarn. So I was using my Chow-Goo needles, metal, and I realized one of the issues, I think the reason why it's taking me so long, because I feel like I'm knitting on this thing constantly and I'm just not getting anywhere. So but I realized one of my issues is that this yarn is actually super slippery on metal. And I was like, but I didn't have this problem when I knit the broom, the shirt that I wore last week. Well, I realized when I knit that, I used those wooden cubics needles. And I think wood, not as slippery. And so I didn't notice that with that project. I just kind of zoomed along and didn't feel like I had to keep, pulling it back and all that. So I think that's one of the issues with this. So what I think I'm going to do, I still have to pick up stitches on both the armholes and just do some ribbing, and then the neck line as well, do some ribbing. So for those, I'm going to pull out my cubics and see if I have the right needle size, because I have some shorter cables with that I think will work. If not, then I'll still use my metal needles and it'll be fine because I just have some ribbing left. But for some reason this week I was really frustrated with this particular project. So once I bound off on the hem, I was like, I'm done with that for right now. So I just set it aside and picked up the socks. So my goal is to work on that this weekend and please, Lord, finish it so that I can be done and wear the silly thing. So it does look good. And I think it obviously will look good with a white shirt. So, and I think the helical knitting has been perfect. There's no crazy color pooling or anything like that, which some people like anyway, but it wasn't the look that I was going for. I want this to be a booth sample and all that good stuff. So yeah. Speaking of patterns, I don't know if y'all saw, so the Ooey Gooey pattern, that's the Andrea Mowry's Rhinebeck sweater. Well, she also released a cowl with it. And I think the pattern just came out. That was the impression I got from the post that I saw, was that, and I immediately messaged Laura. Well, I didn't immediately. It was pretty early in the morning when I saw it. So I waited until the evening, and I think it was the evening. Anyway, I messaged Laura and said, have you seen the Ooey Gooey cowl? Because I want it for a shop sample. I'm hoping you'll knit it for me. And she said, yes. So speaking of which, Laura, I was going to ship that yarn out to you today, but I decided I didn't have enough contrast. So I got to dye up another color and then I'll get it shipped out to you. The other thing that I want to do is, I think I've told y'all this. So y'all remember this colorway, garnet and gold for FSU. Yeah. And my stepdaughter, Kayla, lives in Nashville and she's an FSU alum. So I'm going to knit her a pair of socks. I almost cast them on this week instead of working on Bo's socks. Look at this, y'all. I made my very first center pull ball on my thumb. How cute is that? It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I was very proud of it. But I've also seen people do it with like a full skein of yarn. I don't know that I can do that, but I might try it because it was kind of fun to do it in front of the TV. Anyway, so this is gold, is the colorway name, and that will be the cuff and probably the toes. And I think I'll do pomp and circumstance for the heels. But as Bo told me, you can't have too much black because in the logo, the black is just like an accent. And I'm like, okay, not too much black. And there is black in this game, but I like, I like some having different colors in the cuff, the toe, and the heel. So, and I asked Bo, I said, should I do twinsies or should I make them, y'all know how I like my socks. I like them to be different. So I could do one sock with the gold cuff and toe and then a black heel. And then the other sock could have the black cuff and toe and then a gold heel. And he was like, do what you want. You're the one knitting it. But I realized not everybody likes to play around with stuff like I do. So I may make her twin socks. I may give into it. And then also, I just happened to download the September Cuff Club from Summer Lee. I think I told you all that I was buying that. And look at this cuff. Can you see? Oh, it's showing up pretty good. So, and I realized as soon as I saw it, I think Linda knit that on the pair of socks that I showed. Was it last week or the week before? Anyway, so she obviously, and I think this is it. And I know she does the Summer Lee Cuff Club. So I'm thinking she must have whipped that out in a hurry, but she's a fast knitter. So anyway, I might do those cuffs on Kayla's socks. I don't know. Will that, sometimes you want the color to work with the pattern. And I don't know, is that a little bit frilly I don't think it's too frilly for the gold. I think it would look perfect in the gold colorway, but then is it too frilly for socks knit up in this? I don't think so. I mean, it's for a girl, right? And yeah, I'm just doing a vanilla sock pattern with a shadow wrap heel because I want to, and I'm the one knitting it. So that's what I'm doing. So yeah, so we'll see when I get that cast on. Probably, honestly, as soon as I get done with this, I will cast on those socks. And yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff that I want to knit, but I just don't have as much time, unfortunately. I want to knit all the things. However, it doesn't always happen that way. Hey, Deb, glad to see you here. I'm a Gemini too, Cindy. You get bored easily. Yeah, sometimes I do like to have a few whips that I can change around, but when I get too many, then suddenly things become anxious. And because I'm also bad about not always keeping the best notes. I did have to go back when I picked up these socks for Bo. I realized since I was doing a vanilla pattern, I didn't actually write down anything that I had done. So I made myself little notes about how many stitches, you can't even see it, how many stitches I cast on and how many I did for the cuff and then the leg, and the fact that I did a shadow wrap heel, just in case 5 years down the road, I'm like, I don't know what heel that was, because maybe some new great heel will come out. Anyway, so I'm trying to be better about keeping notes. So that's an issue that I have, is I don't always keep good notes. Oh, wow. So you learned to cake on your thumb in the 80s. And you have done full skeins. Okay, so it doesn't end up, see, I'm thinking like as you're wrapping, does it not end up like swallowing you know what I mean? Like coming up here? Like, I don't know, how does that work? I'll have to watch a video. I'm pretty sure Andrea Mowry has a video on she's done that on her thumb. So anyway, all right, what's new in the shop? Well, let me tell you. So first of all, I think I know I showed y'all this. This is the Sunshine City colorway. It looks very red on my monitor. It is not. That's a beautiful bright pink and yellow. And then there's an orange down here as well. Actually, I can unwind this for y'all. Did I already show, excuse me, the full skein? So this is called Sunshine City, and I dyed it up for the common thread over in St. Pete. So it's a pretty saturated colorway, and yeah. So it took some doing, I was telling my dying to knit people that originally I had some issues with the colors I chose. I didn't like it. So I went back to the drawing board. Anyway, the first batch for the common thread sold out as far as I know. She now has it on pre-order. There is a link in your newsletter if you would like to pre-order it, and you can do so. It's on Trusty Sock, which is this one that I'm holding here, and I don't think I twisted it tight enough, but it's on Trusty. Sorry, did I say Trusty Sock? It's not Trusty Sock. Trusty DK. Oh, I have to take it out to the thing for Morgan to retwist for me. Trusty DK and Sparkly Sock are the two bases that you can get it on. All right. So let me put that over there. All right. Yvette, yes, you do need to try the Shadow Wrap Heel. I'm telling you, unless you're, some people really like their heel flaps and they don't mind picking up the stitches. And I don't hate it. It's just that my big thing about that is that when I'm done with the heel, I want to be done and not have to worry about decreases. You know what I mean? And when you pick up those stitches, then every other row you're having to do decreases until you're back to your regular count. And to me, that's always like, okay, count again. Where am I at? How many more decreases do I have? So that's all. Oh, okay, Cindy. So you make it more of a cake and then it squares off. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. I'm pretty sure it'll take some doing. Yes, Donna, it is a bright screaming hot pink. Yes, it is. So if you like that, then it's a colorway for you. All right. And then also there is new. So in honor of the show Wednesday coming out, are y'all watching that season 2? I'm going to be honest. Season 2 is not grabbing me quite as much as season 1 did. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I haven't gotten far enough in. And sometimes Wednesdays, no. Her attitude gets on my nerves. I don't know. Not on my nerves, but it gets old. It's kind of like there was a book I was reading and the whole trope meme, I don't know, whatever, was that it was like, they don't like each other and then they do. And they're constantly bickering. And I'm like, oh my gosh, can we just stop the bickering already? I don't have patience for that. Get over yourself. So anyway, Wednesday, it's a little bit like that, but hopefully, once we get further in, like somebody already stole her book. I saw that. So it should get good. I'm sure it will, but I also have to wait. Morgan and I have to watch it together. I didn't let her watch it without me. And so I can't watch it without her. So we have to find times when she and I both have free time available to watch it. Anyway, so in honor of Wednesday, season 2, I brought back this one, Little Storm Cloud, which is one of the affectionate names that Gomez has for Wednesday, my little storm cloud. And this is an oldie but a goodie. We did this back, gosh, when the first season came out, right? A mystery box. So let me tell you some patterns because this is a little bit of a different colorway, right? Let me undo it. It's a half black, half speckled colorway, fun speckles for Enid. So the black represents Wednesday, and then the speckles are for Enid, her beautiful, lovely, cheerful little roommate. Okay, so you got half black there. That's basically Pomp and Circumstance, by the way. And then this. Okay, so one pattern that I thought of would be perfect because the first thing my mind goes to is socks. Hello. The heel toe do-si-do socks that Linda, I think, yes, I showed them last week. She's knitting them using Cordially Yours, the self-striping colorway, and it would look great in this colorway. So if you're a sock knitter, you could totally do that. And then it would also look really good if you like color pooling and you like to be daring and all that good stuff. I know this is already going to have to go. Just a mess. I used to hand twist all our skeins. I don't know what has happened to me. Anyway, moving on. Oh, before I do that, there are a bunch of coordinating minis that go with it. So, for example, Berry goes very nicely with it, and Berry is on some full skeins in the shop, so you have that option. And then let's see what else. Krampus Kiss is on minis, and that's a nice accent color, as well as very close cousin Go Big or Go Home would also look very good with that. And that's on some full skeins in the shop. And then some other minis that would go with it include Lilac. I'll be dyeing up a few of these on Trusty Sock as it was requested by someone special. And then also Pumpkin Patch, I think kind of plays off nicely with it, as does Short Shorts. I brought that back because it goes, look at that, look at that, it's just perfection. So, and Pumpkin Patch is on big skeins as well. So there's all sorts of options if you're wanting to, play off of each other. I did dye up on minis gold poppy, just because at first I thought, I think that would go well with it. But I realized once I dyed, I didn't have any that I had kept. And so I had to dye it up to see. But once I dyed it, it's not my favorite, to be honest. It does kind of have a silver base. And I think that it throws off the tone of it. So that's not my favorite. But if you're looking for a little speckled beauty to add to your mini stash, then Gold Poppy is in the shop. Okay, so going back to other patterns that would look good. I actually think this pattern, the Stay Toasty scarf, would look very cute in Little Storm Cloud. So it will definitely do some color pooling, but I think it would look great, especially with a white shirt like this. And it would give it, the black kind of ups the sophistication level just a little bit, but then you'd also have some fun color pooling going on in there. So I think this would actually be a good pattern. And then another one that I have, what is that? Masterpiece for a master. You're so sweet. Hey, Linda, we were just talking about you and your socks. And your shadow wrap heel, not your shadow wrap heel. I call it Linda's shadow wrap heel because she's the one that introduced it to me. She told me about it and I was like, what? What is this magic you speak of? Anyway, and then, okay, so another pattern. Sorry, I'm getting totally sidetracked. Last week, I was so busy yakking that I felt like I didn't get to the comments. I'm trying to avoid that this week. So this pattern is called Mend by Dawn Barker, and it is an assigned pooling pattern, which I think would look very cute in Little Storm Cloud. And I don't know if you're familiar with assigned pooling patterns. Basically, it's different from planned pooling. Assigned poolings they tend to actually be very simple patterns, and they let the yarn, the colors do the talking and the being showy. So you basically, like in that pattern, you have a shawl that has stockinette stitch, or is it garter? Stockinette, garter, one of those, very simple. And then when you get to your contrast color, you do a linen stitch. It's actually very simple. So you just kind of change up the stitch pattern, and it really showcases a wild and crazy skein like this very nicely. So I'm trying to think. So what else? I'm sure there's some hat patterns. If you need more pattern suggestions, let me know, and I'll be happy to give you some. But anyway, so that's Wednesday. So that's fun. That's a limited run. Once it's gone, it's gone. And that's kind of my plan. So I'm working on, just to let y'all know, I'm working on a fall color. I say fall. I'm going to name it because it's not just fall. It's going to be for fall and winter. It's got some moody, deep colors in it. And that will kind of be a mainstay collection that I'll take with me to trunk shows and festivals over the upcoming months, have some shop samples and all that good stuff. For fall and Halloween, I had someone specifically ask. My plan for that is to just kind of do some not one-offs, but do some short limited runs. So, for example, next week I already have another colorway that didn't make it into the color collection because I've kind of been auditioning colors that I want to go. I was telling my Dying to Knit group, it takes me a long time because I think I'm trying to think of all the different colors. You want to have a certain amount that are variegated, a certain amount of tonal solids that all play nicely together and can be used for a variety of patterns. And, then I have to dye them up because I want to see it actually on a skein. How does it look? And then you got to leave time for all the second guessing and the third guessing, and then I question myself. I don't know, is this the right one? What patterns do I want to knit out of it? All these things. So anyway, and then of course, as a part of that, there ends up being a lot of one-of-a-kind colorways that either didn't come out the way I wanted them to, or for whatever reason. So like next week, I've got a couple of different things that I'll release, and and what I dye is what there is. So so that's how we'll handle that going into Halloween. I do have a couple of fun Halloween colorways. I'm going to bring at least one that I have on the dye schedule that I'm going to bring back because I love it so much. So anyway, so got all that. And then, and then Christmas colorways. I mean, I still have some in the shop from Christmas in July, so there's no shortage of those. Under the Mistletoe is still in the shop. And so there's plenty there. And then we'll do some more of those as we get closer to Christmas. Okay, so what else? Next week, also, if you are interested in doing the holiday series of Dying to Knit, that's coming out next week. So if you missed it, basically, it's a 3-month series that you sign up and you get a mystery colorway. This 3 months, I like to do this for the holidays, since October, November, and December have 3 major holidays, and there's always a lot of movies centered around those. So I've already picked 3 holiday movies that will inspire our dyeing themes. And so you sign up for a skein, 1 to 3 skeins on the base of your choice. And then each month you get to watch me dye it up. And you get to watch me dye it up in the Facebook group, and then I send it out, all that good stuff. Yeah. So, all right. Which, speaking of Dying to Knit people, next Thursday is our last Dying to Knit for this year. For this year, not really, but you know what I mean, for this retro rewind series that we did. So, and I've already been working on the theme for next year. I'm excited about that. All right, let's see where. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, and let me get it. It's in the newsletter, but I don't think I am going to go all the way back there. It's in your newsletter. Thank you for being a friend, and you're a pal. I had some room in the dye pots when I was dyeing them up. So I know some of y'all don't really care for your pre-orders. You like the stuff that's ready to ship, and that's fine. So there is some of that there's some minis in the shop, and then there's also on Silky Sock. There's a couple of those. So awesome, Deb. I love it. Yes. Hey, Lonnie. I know. Thank God it's Friday. Oh, you're so great, Linda. I appreciate that. Even better. I'm going to put that on the website. I don't think you dye any bad colors. You've heard it here first. Just remember that, because I've got some interesting stuff coming up. No, actually, I'm excited about, I showed Bo the colorway for Dying to Knit next week, and I was like, oof, this is different for me. And he goes, I think I like the colors though. So and they play nicely together, so it'll be fun. All right. And I was told I needed to have red in this colorway. I know, red's my favorite color. You'd think I would have no problem putting red, but the last couple that we've done have had no red. Well, I take that back. The Happy Days colorway did have some red. I mean, it wasn't bright, but there was some red speckled in there. So, Is that a suggestion, Lonnie? Don't share them. Yeah, if there is some, then I usually try to turn it into a one-of-a-kind colorway and add some pleasing colors in it um, that go over better. And I was telling the Dying to Knit people, Morgan and I wanted, so the first go around for this version of Dying to Knit did not come, I didn't quite care for it. I like the color palette, but it needed some changes. So Morgan and I were looking at it and we discussed, okay, here's what I'm going to do. And then I said, okay, well, this batch I need to turn into a one of a kind. So how can we make this a Halloween color? And she goes, well, for Halloween, you need purple, green, and orange. And so I was like, oh, well, and I'm not going to tell you which ones I added, but a couple of them, one didn't look right with that color scheme, but we did figure out which ones would look good. So I'm going to add that and turn it into a one of a kind. So, but it's funny how, yeah, there's a certain amount of colors that you add them to any colorway and suddenly, oh, Halloween. So anyway, it's been fun though. All right. Where I will, sorry, I think I missed Diane's comment because Bo commented and I didn't see it. Oh, a 7-layer casserole. Is that like, no, I'm thinking of the 7-layer salad. That was one of my favorite salads growing up. Oh, I loved it so much. Probably all the mayonnaise my mom put in it. But it's a 7-layer casserole. Now I need to know what goes into that. Anyway, I'm glad you're here, Diane. I have to tell y'all an interesting story. So speaking of dying to knit, miss you too, Evie. There's, not everybody who signs up for dying to knit actually watches the yarns being dyed up. I always thought, why would you not watch it? But I don't know why. I have a lovely lady from Canada who doesn't sign up. And I had a billing issue with her. And so I sent her an email a while back and she didn't respond. And so I sent her another email because I was like, okay, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I at least need to communicate with her. And so I emailed her, but in the email, and I said it very nicely. I said something about, I'm not sure because you didn't respond to my email. And then she responded back and said, I'm so sorry. She said, I'm a teacher. She's a teacher in Canada. And I was like, oh, that's so awesome. Anyway, we got the whole thing sorted. But she doesn't actually join the Facebook group. So you don't have to join the Facebook group. You don't have to participate and watch it. You can just be surprised when your yarn shows up. All right. Where will I be? Let's see. You already know Shenandoah Valley Fiber Fest at the end of September. I'm excited to be there. So it sounds like a good list of vendors and good classes and shows. And of course, there's animals. I always find it interesting. You've got your fiber festivals that have the animals, the sheep and all of that, the wool. And then you have some that don't, like at Pittsburgh, it's not a wool. Like the animal fiber festival at all. You just have a lot of vendors and people who are interested in yarn. So every festival has its own flavor. So I'm excited to go to Virginia, even if it is another 2-day drive. Okay, let's see. And then October 18th, I've mentioned this one, is the first Falling into Fiber vendor market. It will be at the Beachside Hotel and Suites, and it's open to the public from 12 to 5. That is a Saturday. And then November 14th and 15th is the Alabama Fiber Festival, and that'll be a first for me as well. So, and I've already heard from a couple people coming to that. I have to say, some of these are out, far enough away, or, I didn't, I guess, realize that I had customers in that area. And so at every festival so far, I've had somebody who's a customer or who knows Swan City Yarns, and then they come and I get to meet them. And that has been probably my favorite part of, the money, obviously we have to have some money as well, or I can't afford to go, but it's been amazing to meet people for sure. So I enjoy that. And I'm, at some point, hopefully we'll get to try some other festivals that are farther out than where we're currently able to go. But so Lonnie, kind of like you have to balance red and green or it will scream Christmas. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. That's so true. Linda, I can pick out 4 skeins looking at the wall behind Carolyn's head. Yep, I bet you can. All right. And then let's see. Diane. Okay. Potatoes, onions, carrots, peas, rice, hamburger, and tomato soup. Honey, that sounds good. Bo was like, what do we want to do for meals next week? Because we have a tendency to, I don't know about y'all, but so we plan out our meals before we go grocery shopping. It's supposed to save you money. We actually do it for organization purposes. So it's not like the day of, what do you want to have for dinner? Ugh, that's miserable. But it's supposed to help save money too. But I don't know. We spend an awful lot at the grocery store. So I don't know how effective that is. But so we plan out our meals and we tend to have every Thursday night, I can tell you exactly 2 months from now, Thursday night, we're having chicken thighs. Because that's what we do. And I'm okay with that as long as I'm not the only one having to eat all the leftovers. But so anyway, we have certain set meals, but I think, every once in a while, Bo will get tired of something. Like I love, there for the longest time, he would make either salmon patties or every once in a while he'd trade out crab cakes for me. And then he got tired of them. And so now we don't have them anymore. So I think he's getting tired of some of the meals that are on our menu because he was saying, what do you want to do for meals next week? So that actually, I was thinking we need to come up with some casseroles. My mom made a ton of casseroles growing up. They're great to prepare ahead of time because she worked nights. She would make them, and then we just had to stick them in the oven after school. Yeah, that was good. Yes, Linda, scenic stitches. I am too. I've heard good things about it. So. And then Cindy, I'm trying to decide what color fluffy lace to use for musical shawl. Is that the one you emailed me about? I was thinking there are some other purples, by the way, that would work. Karen, I wish I wasn't on the other side of the pond. I know. And the last time that I was on your side of the pond, I was very sick, so I didn't even get to meet you. Very disappointing. And then, yes, Lonnie, that's true. Color's a funny thing because you can make mud pretty quick, but you can also make something that looks like unicorn. Yes, or a clown exploded. Yeah. Oh, Diane, this freezes well. Yeah, I know some people really like the freezer meals, which we don't tend to do a lot of that. But that's because Bo is so organized. Like every day, he pulls out the meat that needs to be defrosted. And yeah, so we tend to be planners in this family. Bo and I are very compatible when it comes to that because we're both planners for sure. Anyway, speaking of food, you know what time it is. I have to go grocery shopping. It's Friday afternoon. So yeah, and I think we might be changing up the grocery store that we go to because there is this fabulous goat milk brie cheese that I can have because I can't have cow's milk, but I can have sheep's milk and goat milk. They don't seem to affect me like cow's milk. And Publix there's a brand of cheese called Celebrity that they make a goat milk brie. But my Publix up here, the one you typically go to, does not carry it. And Aldi used to have some, but I look every single week. But Aldi isn't quite as consistent. Like you might fall in love with something at Aldi and then all of a sudden it's gone and they're not carrying it anymore. So anyway, there's a Publix across town that we have found that carries the cheese that I like. And I'm not the only one who likes it because Morgan will eat that in a hurry. And she told me recently, you have all the best snacks. So I have to hide my snacks. I can't hide that because it's got to be refrigerated. But and I don't want to hide it anyway. But Liz, lunchtime for me, it is. Okay, Stephen West. Oh, the new Stephen West shawl. I've not seen that one. I get his newsletters. I must have missed that one. All right. Oh, maybe I did see. It's a mystery knit along. I bet I saw it advertised. All right. So it drops the first clue on October 2nd, 4 skeins of fingering weight, and optionally a mohair dare skein. Is that what you meant to say? Okay. So the first yarn info dropped today. I wonder if I have an email on that in my um, in my inbox. I'll have to look. I always I keep up to date with his stuff. You know, he's always doing sock patterns and other things, but yeah, I don't actually always, well, obviously you see, I don't get to knit them very often. Anyway, so that'll be interesting. I'm excited to see what everyone picks. Oh, a mohair dare. Okay. Oh, I got to go look at this now. Very good. Are you doing it, Lonnie? And Cindy apparently is. So I can't wait to see what y'all come up with. That should be interesting. All right. Well, it's a Friday. They're so far above my pay grade. Actually, just so you know, he does have some that are they're not that bad. Like I did the oh gosh, what was it? The seascape. I'll pull it out. It was actually a very nice shawl. Now it's a big shawl. It used 3, I think you could choose between 3 and 5 colors. He has 2 different options, but literally the only thing that it had in it was yarn overs and short rows, which is very tame for Stephen West. I can't remember what the name of it. Sea Swell shawl. If you're interested, just saying. Because he does, I know a lot of his stuff is way out there, but he does have some that are a little more, toned down. Yeah, for sure. So, but he's such a great designer. I mean, that talent. All right. Hey, listen, thank you all so much for joining me and listening to me jabber on. I appreciate it. Be sure to keep posting your projects because I can't wait to see what y'all are working on. Yeah, look it up, Donna, and then I'll bring mine next week and show it. And then they are big. You're right. They are big. But if you're a shawl knitter, then, to me though, I like something like this, but for decoration. But if you're going to have something for, bulk, or to really show off, then you got to have, because what I don't like is I don't like shawls that are very deep but not very wide. I always get frustrated with those because it's like there's not enough to wrap around. And then you got all this bulk down here because that's how I tend to wear my shawls. But anyway, I digress. So yes, definitely good to see you all. Thank you all so much for joining me. Yes, and if you have not subscribed, please do so. It helps. I actually got quite a few subscribers this past week. I don't know what happened, but I appreciate it. Like the video, and I will see you next week right back here at 1 o'clock. And enjoy your weekend. Bye, everybody.